Savage retribution against former spouse resulting in a $2 billion forfeiture. Before Tom left the house, he waited for his child to exit the house as he was standing in the car. The tiny one, just like the majority of youngsters her age, took an interminable amount of time to get ready for the weekend with the boy. It was his weekend with the boy. Tom would have helped him get dressed in the past and find the socks that were scattered in a disorganized manner throughout the bedroom. In the past, Tom would have assisted him in getting ready. Furthermore, he would have been able to find a rucksack that was hidden behind a chair or in the closet if he had discovered it. On the other hand, the house was now owned by the new husband of Tom's ex-wife, thus he found himself waiting outside the house. During the time that Liam was attempting to get ready to go out, Randy, who had previously been Tom's boyfriend, was most certainly pursuing him. A grin appeared on Tom's face as he considered this concept. She was prone to experiencing sensations of stress whenever she was under pressure, and she was prone to losing her temper if she was angry. Randy's instruction was, "Please be on time." He stressed the importance of that. It is really necessary for Hank to be present at this dinner. It is of the utmost significance for his business to attend this meeting because he has clients coming from the Asian region. The entire time that the telephone lecture was being delivered, Tom remained mute. He did not say that he was always punctual, nor did he indicate that Randy, Hank, and Liam were the ones who were consistently late. This is only one example. Another aspect that he did not bring up was the fact that he did not care if Hank thought dinner was meaningful or not. He did not bring this up since he did not care. At the end of the day, Hank was successful in his attempt to get Randy to engage in sexual contact with him while Tommy was still married to Randy. Over the course of the entire talk, Tom did not speak at any point. Randy was not informed by Tom that Hank wanted Randy to be his sweetheart because of the way her breasts looked in a low-cut dress. Tom did not disclose Randy this information while he was having dinner with clients. Randy did not receive either of these pieces of information from Tom. Randy did not know that if someone had asked him what he wanted, the response would have been just a few of minutes to disembowel Hank with a rusty knife and then strangle him with his own intestines. Tom did not tell Randy this information. Among all the things that Tom did not disclose to Randy, this is the most important one. Tom's strategy was to conceal this information from Randy, and he intended to do so. While Tom was tightening the guts around the bastard's throat, he even checked online and found a set of waterproof work gloves that would prevent the gruesome guts from escaping his hands. He used these gloves to control the flow of the guts. He wore these gloves in order to stop the guts from rolling out of his body. On the other hand, he did not utter any of these remarks and instead opted to remain silent as he listened to the squeak that was coming from the other end of the queue. He was listening to the squeak. Randy's pocket contained something that was more coveted and was ready to be utilized at this very moment. There were no disagreements between Tom and Randy over their financial situation, and neither of them were homeless. Neither of them had any financial problems. On the other hand, Randy had the goal of becoming wealthy through his own business. He considered this to be his desire. On the other side, Tom experienced a sense of contentment with his life due to the fact that he had a decent property and a reasonable job. In the end, they decided to get married after meeting at a business function, which led to the beginning of their relationship. At the time of their initial encounter, Ree was in the midst of one of her stages within her diet. As a result of her poor eating habits, she would consume an enormous amount of food whenever she was under a great deal of pressure. She would then begin a diet, employing every magical medicine she could discover, and working out like a crazy, sacrificing sleep in order to attain her objective of reducing weight. She would not stop until she had achieved her goal. The occurrence of this would take place when she had gained additional pounds. She was thin for a while, but then she started to gain weight again. This happened after a period of time. An extra challenge was presented by the fact that her family had a tendency to be obese, in addition to the fact that every single member of her family suffered from high hypertension itself. During the period that she and Tom were together, Randy went through the cycle of losing weight and gaining weight 3 times. Her weight loss and gain cycles occurred simultaneously. Hank was able to seduce her while she was in one of her slim periods, and it appears that she has been able to keep her weight loss for the past 13 months. Hank was able to seduce her when she was in one of her slender times. Despite the fact that Tom was aware that he needed to experience a reduction in his weight in order to find the answer to this puzzle, he opted to ignore this fact. His knowledge of the situation did not come to him, until Randy informed him, that she was moving forward with the divorce proceedings. Tom did everything in his power to postpone the finalization of the divorce proceedings. The only weapon he possessed was this one, and he was attempting to be an expert. He did not make an effort to save the marriage, rather, he was making an effort to be an. On the other hand, he was represented by an attorney who was not only qualified but also a friend of his himself. As a result of his opposition to everything, he even demanded that consultation be considered. Tom was irritated as a result of this, and he did not wish to engage in conversation with her. On the other hand, the attorney was able to calm him down by pointing out that Randy wanted to talk to him even less than he wanted to talk to her, and that they could always withdraw the request at any time. When all was said and done, Randy had the intention of marrying Hank, which meant that she had a purpose to speed things forward as quickly as possible. At the time when it came time to contest the request for counseling, Tom's attorney initially submitted petitions that were opposed to everything that was planned for hearings, then rescheduled those hearings, and eventually filed additional motions. All of these actions were intended to challenge the request for counseling. As a result of Rand's declaration, Tom's counsel kept his word and withdrew the motion that had been submitted to the court. After a long period of time spent disputing with Tom about everything, Randy ultimately sent him a check and transferred all of the joint property to him. The event took place following a heated dispute that lasted for several months. The reason that she paid Tom's attorney was due to the fact that she did not possess any of her own money and that Hank was the source of the money was the reason that she paid him. During the course of their preparations for this event, Rye and Hank had devoted a considerable amount of both their time and their resources. Tom was of the opinion that the incident qualified as a victory. A month ago, not too much time had passed since Randy and Hank had tied the knot, and the divorce was finalized. Since then, the couple has been living individually. During the time when the happy couple was away on their honeymoon, Tom made the decision to keep Liam with him. At this point, it is time for the second phase of the recreation, and this particular example did not include any of the important organs of any of the participants. From the moment the door was opened, Liam made a hasty descent down the steps and into the path that was located farther below. In spite of the fact that he was confused as to why he was required to stay in two separate locations, Tom made certain that he was securely situated in the vehicle seat and provided him with a tablet that included a movie. "I have something to share with you," Tom said with a smile as he approached the house and knocked on the door. "I have something to communicate with you." Next, he moved closer to the entrance of the building. The moment Randy opened the door, he gave off the impression that he was unhappy. While she was striving to put on earrings, make sure that her hair was beautiful, and go out the door wearing her small black dress and stilettos, she was working on all of these things simultaneously. When Tom got closer to the house, he knocked on the door and then approached the main entrance. Randy is responsible for opening this door. At that moment, Tom raised his hand and remarked, "It's about the lottery." She was about to say something along those lines when he made his statement. Randy was of the opinion that his tales were lengthy and uninteresting, and she was ready to say something to Tom that was similar to what Randy had said. In spite of the fact that she was highly thrilled about taking part in the lottery, she was unable to express any thoughts or comments because of this. Their neighborhood was the location where the winning ticket was purchased, and the amount of the reward has just crossed $2 billion, making it one of the greatest things that has ever been. Despite the fact that this story was widely reported in the media, no one who was eligible to receive the award stepped forward. Rye's objective was to win the lottery, and he was especially interested in acquiring the big ball. A recent announcement revealed that the reward sum has surpassed $2 billion, making it one of the most substantial prizes in the history of the world. Randy waited for Tom to tell the story after a few weeks had passed. However, instead of speaking, he presented the ticket. Tom proceeded to tell the incident. It was not possible to determine who had purchased the ticket, despite the fact that the courageous reporter looked at CCTV footage from the business where the ticket was sold that was available to the public. Because the time limit for claiming the prize has now gone, the money has been simply returned to the prize pool where it was initially placed. This is because the deadline for claiming the reward has now passed. A person was the lucky winner of $2.2 billion in the lottery. She was so focused on herself that she failed to see that she required glasses. Nonetheless, Randy compelled her to compress her eyes in order to look at him. She was unable to see that she needed spectacles. According to the results of the competition, this exact ticket was chosen as the winner. As far as Tom is concerned, the $2 billion they were talking about when we broke up During the time that Randy was delivering the ticket to her, he wore a look of surprise on his face. Despite the fact that she responded with yes, yes, it was, her state of mind abruptly changed. Yes, yes, it was. So, it has now expired. Because she appeared to be in a state of shock and was furiously tapping her fingers on her phone, it seemed as though Randy was hunting for a number on the lottery website. This was because she appeared to be looking for him. Eventually, she switched her focus to Tom after her sight had wandered from the phone to the ticket and then back again. She had repeated this pattern several times. Her expression went back to its initial state before the cycle started all over again. This occurred after she had experienced a period of astonishment, anger, horror, and eventually misery initially. Tom is the one who made the return of the ticket. There were blood vessels placed in her temples, and it was possible to observe pulses in those vessels. You see, I bought it right before you handed me the divorce papers, which was actually the day before they announced the winner. I bought it shortly before you did that. Right before everything that took place, I purchased it. It should come as no surprise that this would be a part of the method by which the divorce is processed. Following the deduction of the lump sum and the subsequent subtraction of taxes from the entire amount, my share would amount to several $100 million. Having said that, and this is the most important point, your portion would also be included in the discussion. In addition, I would never have allowed that to take place, is that correct? I would never have allowed it to happen. A substantial sum of money was offered to me, but I declined it since I had such a strong dislike for you. To demonstrate how much I loathe you, I did this out of spite, with the intention of preventing you from receiving anything. It is now my pleasure to wish you and Hank a pleasant evening. May both of you have a good time. Despite the fact that Randy did not utter a single word, she did move her jaw up and down, the muscles in her neck strained, and she clutched the door frame. All of these actions were taken when Randy was silent. When Tom turned around and started moving towards the car, he was under the impression that Randy would pursue him and yell at him. However, nothing of the sort occurred. His anticipation was totally without any basis in reality. With Liam on her side, she departed from the location. It was strictly forbidden for Hank to communicate with Tom or cultivate a close relationship with him under any circumstances. During the divorce proceedings, this was one of the unstated norms that was in place. During the Sunday afternoon, when Tom was normally getting Liam ready to go home, Randy's father called Tom and informed him of one of the requirements that he needed to meet. Tom was in the process of getting Liam ready to go home. It was on Friday evening when Randy's father informed Tom that his daughter had suffered a massive stroke. At the time, Randy's daughter was getting ready to go out. The information was relayed to Tom by Randy's father. He did not become aware of her existence until Hank returned from a dinner event at which Randy was not present. This was the first time that Hank had heard about her. She was in a catastrophic condition when she was brought to the attention of medical personnel. She was blind, paralyzed on one side, and unable to speak verbally. She was also in a critical situation. Due to the fact that Randy's father requested that Tom take Liam away for a period of time until she had the right therapy and returned to her normal life, Hank will need to devote a significant amount of time to taking care of Randy. The reason for this is that Tom was requested to depart with Liam. Monday was the day that Tom instructed his attorney to finish the necessary paperwork in order to make the arrangement for temporary custody official. This was done in order to make the custody arrangement official. In addition, he made a commitment to maintain Liam's participation for a predetermined period of time. On that specific evening, before Hank went to bed with a large smile on his face, he did not express any reservations regarding this matter. It was Randy who was unable to do so. When Tom took one final look at the lottery ticket, he was astounded by the vast number of opportunities that became accessible to him as a result of his possession of Photoshop, and his reputation for being truthful. It was possible for him to make the most of each and every one of these possibilities. Therefore, if you want to avoid your second chaff from cheating on you, it is strongly suggested that you subscribe to our channel. It is also recommended that you listen to the following story, since the one that comes after this one is nothing in contrast to the one that comes after it. If you are younger than 18 years old, you should never even consider the possibility of listening to the next one listening. This is a rule that should be considered absolutely unacceptable.